Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy, which is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examinations. So do visit AKS IAS Academy and the website of AKS IAS Academy. And about me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I take up international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session will certainly help you because I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the newspaper, wherein from the keywords and the key phrases we will identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions which will be very useful for the preliminary examination, as well as while you imbibe the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing, your answers would be precise and concise and you would certainly score higher marks in the mains examinations. So therefore, this session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will help you to score higher marks in the mains 2020, as well as it will help you to crack prelims and mains in the year 2021. And this is in regards to the DNA of the Hindu newspaper, that is today's the date of 12th December 2020. And before we get into the DNA, we will look at the quote of the day, and the quote of the day says that there are two secrets to success. One is you start it and the other one is do not quit or don't quit. So certainly these two secrets of success will help you to attain your long term as well as short term goals. And the news which we will be focusing as per the DNA from the newspaper, that is the Hindu, is that there would be a panel which would set up and which is already set up, and this panel will probe into the ISRO case and it will begin its work of probing it, because this was the Supreme Court, this committee or the panel, it is a three-member committee, and this three-member committee was constituted by Supreme Court in the year September 2018. But now when the panel is probing the ISRO case, now it is the first sitting after the Supreme Court has constituted in the year 2018, that is September 2018, and it has constituted the panel to look into the ways and means to take appropriate steps against the erring officials who have framed a case in the year 1994 against the scientist, that is Nambi Narayan, who was then the country's prominent space scientist. And because of the frame up case in the year 1994 by few officials, which has been the responsibility or responsible, those officials were responsible for the ISRO's reputed scientist Nambi Narayan's life or career to be at stake. And now the Supreme Court, which has constituted a panel, now has come up with a committee, that is a three-member committee, and this three-member committee is chaired by a former Supreme Court judge named as D.K. Jain, and this committee is now called as Justice Jain Committee, and it is certainly expected to start the entire probe, that is the ways and means to take appropriate steps against the officials who have framed the case or false case and which has destroyed the life and reputation of Nambi Narayan. And Nambi Narayan was arrested on November 30, 1994, wherein Nambi Narayan was working on cryogenic engine technology of ISRO. So here the committee is very important, that is the Justice Jain Committee, and Nambi Narayan was arrested on November 13, 1994, while he was working on cryogenic engine technology at ISRO. And the police have accused him, that is Kerala police has accused him, that he was involved in passing few of the documents and drawings which were pertaining to ISRO, and these drawings and documents were related to the Viking or Vikas engine technology, which is part of the cryogenic engine technology. And they have also accused Nambi Narayan that he has passed the PSLV flight data and drawings to Pakistan. So this was a frame up by the officials against the Nambi Narayan, and in turn the police have accused him after the investigation that he has passed the documents and drawings to Pakistan. And now there is the Supreme Court has made it very clear that the career of Nambi Narayan was smothered. Smothered in the sense which has been prevented or suppressed because of the case which was framed up by the officials of ISRO against Nambi Narayan. The Supreme Court has said that the career of Nambi Narayan has been smothered or prevented or suppressed. And this Kerala police which has investigated, and later on the CBI has took over the probe from the Kerala police, and they have closed a report in the year 1996 saying that Nambi Narayan was accused in the case, but Nambi Narayan has fought to bring the accusers who have accused a false frame against him, and he has brought the accusers to justice. And later on in the Supreme Court has dismissed the CBI case which has framed cases against Nambi Narayan in regards to the passing of the documents and drawings to Pakistan. And it has dismissed, the Supreme Court has dismissed the case in 2018 as a criminal frame up. So this is a keyword, that the Supreme Court has closed the case as saying that it was a criminal frame up based on some kind of fancy or notion by the officers of at ISRO. And the Supreme Court also made it very clear that the Nambi Narayan's career was smothered. That means it has been prevented. His career was prevented or suppressed because of the criminal frame up by the officials. And in turn, the Apex Court in its 2018 judgment has called the treatment meted out to the scientist, that is Nambi Narayan, while he was in custody, was a psychopathological effect on him. So this is another keyword that the Supreme Court has termed or referred, that the treatment which has been meted to the scientist while he was in the custody was a psychopathological. And the court has ordered the Kerala government to pay to Nambi Narayan, who was accused in a criminal frame up, which was a kind of fancy or notion, to pay 50 lakh in compensation. So the court has also said that money was not enough to make up the torture or the way he has experienced the psychopathological torture which he has endured for 24 years. So this is the Supreme Court which has given a judgment in the year 2018 against, that is giving in favor of Nambi Narayan and setting up a panel. And this panel, now it is a 3-member committee which is chaired by D.K. Jain, and this committee which is looking into the ways and means to take appropriate step against the official is called as Justice Jain Committee, and it will start the work on December 14 and 15. So this is again a crucial information for prelims as well as mains examination, that how the case has been or the individual has experienced the psychopathological and his career was smothered. So these are the two keywords which are part of the entire analysis which we need to look into it, that the criminal framework has smothered Nambi Narayan career and while he was in custody, he has experienced psychopathological also. And there is another news which talks about the industrial output, which is in a positive growth or positive territory, and the estimates have been come up or released by the National Statistical Office on December 11th, and it says that the India's industrial output has grown, and it is at the fastest pace when we consider it in the 8 months, that is since last the time when the COVID-19 pandemic has hit India, and when India has gone ahead with the lockdown. Since then till October 2020, for the first 8 months, the industrial output of India has grown to 3.6%, and this growth is because of the consumer durable production, which has increased since COVID-19 pandemic situation. So the one which has actually been effective in regards to the growth, positive growth of India's industrial output is consumer durable production. So this consumer durable production, which the levels have increased, and this is the second month in a row wherein we have experienced, that is India's industrial output has recorded the positive growth in a row for second month. But there is a cautious being referred by the economists, saying that there could be a turnaround in regards to the positive territory of India's industrial output, which it is showing a positive growth in the second month in a row, that is in regards to the industrial output. But the economists have cautioned that there could be a turnaround because the October month 2020 has shown 3.6% growth, and this growth is bolstered by the pent up or the festive demand which we have, that is India or the consumer durable production has experienced. And not only it is because of the pent up and the festive demand, but because of the low base of index of industrial production, which has shrunk to 6.6% in the year 2019, has also added to the industrial output to be at 3.6% and a positive growth for a second month in a row. That is why the economist says that there could be a chance of turnaround, because this was bolstered only by the festive demand and pent up, and because of the low base, which we have seen that IIP, which was minus 6.6 in October 2016, and later on it has surged. So there is, the economists are cautioning about the positive growth which industrial output has experienced in a row for second month in October 2020, and the total industrial output for 2020-21 is now 17.5% lower than which we have it in the last fiscal year, that is April 2019 to October 2019. If we compare the total industrial output, it is 17.5% lower than the previous years. But if you look at that, the positive growth of the industrial output is because of the electricity generation, because of the manufacturing activity, and the electricity generation has grown positively to 11.2% compared to the decline which we have seen in the year 2019. It was 12.2%, and the manufacturing activity has grown to 3.5%. But if we compare the manufacturing activity in the year 2019, it was in contraction, that is minus 5.7%. But if we focus apart from electricity generation, manufacturing activity, the mining has shrunk down or it has declined to 1.5%. So in regards to the growth which as we have seen in a positive trend is electricity generation and manufacturing, but in a negative it is mining. But if you look at the various goods which have been in a positive or which has been in a negative, now we will focus at the goods. So the one which has shown a positive growth is the capital growth, and it has shown a positive growth for the first time in 21 months in October. That means prior to almost 2 years from now onwards, that is October 2020, prior to that 2 years, there was negative, and for the first time the capital goods have recorded the positive growth. And in regards to the primary goods, this has shown the negative growth, which is minus 3.3 percentage. And if you look at the third goods, that is the intermediate goods, has recorded a slight growth, that is 0.8 percentage. And this suggests that the recovery is in a dissipated and uneven. That means the entire recovery of the capital goods or primary goods or intermediate goods and the entire industrial output is uneven. So the one which we need to focus, that is you as a civil servant aspirant from economy perspective, is the capital goods, primary goods, intermediate goods and the industrial output, that is the India's industrial output and the consumer durable production. And this is also, now again the entire estimates is from the National Statistical Office. And there is another news which talks about delimitation should be based on 2031 census. So here there are two keywords, that is delimitation and the census is another keyword. So we will look at, and we will look at, when this a scenario has happened and why there is a discussion on the delimitation and again the census. So there was a paper which was released by the Pranab Mukherjee Foundation on the birth anniversary of the late president, that is Pranab Mukherjee. On his birth anniversary, December 11, 2020, a paper was released by foundation, that is Pranab Mukherjee Foundation, and this paper which was released has suggested that the next delimitation exercise should be based on two-step process. So here the two-step process are the keywords which we need to focus, that what the paper has suggested in regards to the delimitation. So it has suggested that first the delimitation commission should be set up. So there has to be a setting up of a delimitation commission wherein the commission will redraw the boundaries of the constitutions, and this redrawing the boundaries of the constituencies would be based on the 2031 census. So certainly the delimitation commission will redraw the boundaries of the constituencies based on the 2031 census. And second such process which the paper has suggested is to have a State Reorganization Act which has to be passed. So there has to be an act which has to be passed, that is called as SRA, that is State Reorganization Act has to be passed, and then this act will split the states into smaller ones based on the population. So the paper has suggested the two-step process. First is the delimitation commission and then the act to be passed is the State Reorganization Act, and these two keywords are certainly important because these are very important for the preliminary polity perspective. And this paper which was also released has said that the 84th amendment of the constitution in the year 2002 has freezed on the delimitation of the Lok Sabha and the state assembly constituencies till the first census after 2026. That means it is only after the 2026 census which comes into action. Till then, the delimitation of the Lok Sabha and state assemblies have been freezed, and this has been freezed based on the 84th amendment of the constitution in the year 2002. And again the keyword here is the 84th constitutional amendment, which has freezed the delimitation of Lok Sabha and state assembly constituencies. And it was also said that the current boundaries were drawn on the basis of the 2001 census. So now what the Lok Sabha and state assembly constituencies are now having their boundaries is based on the 2001 census. So this again is very crucial information for the polity prelims perspective. And the number of Lok Sabha seats and the state assembly seats remain frozen on the basis of 1971 census, and this will, there would be the freeze would be removed after the census of 2026. So now, as per the boundaries of the Lok Sabha seats and the state assemblies are based on the 1971 census. That is, the current boundaries are drawn based on the 2001 census, but the number of Lok Sabha seats, please do understand here, there is a very trivial information. The boundaries are on the basis of 2001 census of the Lok Sabhas and the state assembly, but the number of the Lok Sabha seats and the state assembly seats are based on the 1971 census. Do not get confused. And the freeze would be up till census of 2026, and this is as per the 84th amendment of the constitution, which has come up in the year 2002. And when we look at the population was 50 crore before the 1971 census, but after that almost 50 years it has grown to 130 crore. And because of this increasing population, now this has caused a massive asymmetry in the political representation in the country. So definitely this could be a probable question in the mains, how the population increase, linking it with the freezing of the number of Lok Sabha seats and state assembly seats, and the delimitation process has caused a massive asymmetry in the political representation in the country. So this could be from the polity perspective, mains 2020. So the keywords here are the delimitation and the census. And you have another news which talks about the El Nino. We will now focus this in regards to the El Nino, because historically we know that the El Ninos are associated in regards to the droughts in India, and this El Nino are the cause for the droughts in India, because the El Nino process is the warming of the equatorial Pacific, and because of the warming of the equatorial Pacific, there is a probability that India might experience drought, and that is historically which is associated. But the scientists from the Bengaluru have suggested that apart from El Nino, there are other culprits which are being part, or which will be part of India, which would experience the droughts. So definitely the earlier perception, which El Nino was the only reason for the droughts in India, now the scientists have suggesting from Bengaluru that there are other culprits or other reasons which could be added to the El Nino, so that India is experiencing droughts. And this study was conducted, and it has come up in a science journal, saying that almost the droughts in India, that is 6 out of 10 in non-El Nino years. Please do understand here, the study which is in the or through the journal Science, it says that 6 out of the 10 droughts in India are because of non-El Nino. Historically, we are known that El Nino causes the drought situation in India, but here the scientist in the journal Science says that nearly 6 out of 10 droughts in India are in non-El Nino years. So now we will focus what are the reasons that non-El Nino years also India has experienced droughts. That is, These droughts have occurred during the Indian summer monsoon season in the past century. That means if we look at the data of the past almost 100 years in regards to the Indian summer monsoon season, but still we have experienced it drought, and they may have been driven by atmospheric disturbances. So here the reason what the scientists are saying that 6 out of the 10 droughts are in the non-El Nino years, because there could be a possibility of the atmospheric disturbances from the North Atlantic region. So here the keywords are the atmospheric disturbances from the North Atlantic region. And the study which has been taken up by the researchers or the scientists are from the Center for Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences, and the researchers from the Indian Institute of Science, that is IISc Bangalore. So here what is the keyword here, that is that the droughts are also experienced in India even during the non-El Nino years, and that could be driven because of the atmospheric disturbances from the North Atlantic region. And in an El Nino year, generally in an El Nino year, it is the warm equatorial Pacific waters, because of the Pacific waters being warmed up, and these warm waters of Pacific will pull the entire moisture laden clouds away from the subcontinent, that is India. This is the normal process, that is in an El Nino year. But the IISc study shows that in the non-El Nino years, these droughts are also consequence of a sudden and a steep drop in rainfall in the late August. That is in the we experience in the second week of August also rainfall in India. But there are droughts or a sudden and steep drop in rainfall even in the non-El Nino years, and this we will look at why there is a decline in rainfall, which is the cause for the droughts in India. And if you look at the El Nino year, again we know that the rainfall deficit is for a long-term average, and this rainfall deficit will set in, or it will start up in the early mid-June, and progressively it will worsen. The deficit will worsen in the El Nino year, that is which the El Nino year historically it represents the droughts in India, because the warmness or the waters in the Pacific region, they are warm, and because of the warm waters in the Pacific region, they attract the moisture laden clouds away from the subcontinent. That is why there is a rainfall deficit, and this is for a long term average which starts in the mid of June, and it progressively worsens, that is the rainfall deficit. But however, even in a non El Nino year, there is a drought, we can see the rainfall, and we will also similarly see that the rainfall deficit is weakening even in the mid-June, in the non-El Nino year. But from the mid-June, July to mid-August, usually the rainiest period of the monsoon, and the monsoon will appear to recover. Please do understand. But it will progressively worsen, and from the mid-July and mid-August, there would be good amount of rainfall, and the monsoon will appear to recover from mid-July to mid-August. However, again from August 3rd week, there would be a sudden decline in rainfall. This is what the IISc study or the researchers both or the scientists have taken into consideration, that the droughts are consequence of a sudden and a steep drop in rainfall in late August. That is what we are now focusing, that there is a decline in rainfall, that there is drought in the late August. That is why it says there is there is a rainiest period in the mid-July and mid-August, fine, but around August third week, there is a sudden steep decline in rainfall resulting in drought condition. And this is what is the question mark. Why it is why there is a sudden steep decline in rainfall and the experiencing or the consequences are the drought situation. Why? We will look at why. Because we have seen that the mid-June, mid-July, mid-August and the third week of August, there is a sudden decline in rainfall and it is resulting in the drought condition. And now the researchers have found out that what is the reason for the sudden decline in rainfall in the third week of August. So what these researchers suggest is that there is a Rossby wave. So this is the keyword here, Rossby wave. So Rossby wave is also called as the planetary waves, and what the researchers say is that the winds in the upper atmosphere do interact with the deep cyclonic circulation. Please do understand, the winds in the upper atmosphere do interact with the deep cyclonic circulation, which is just above or abnormally, its circulation above the abnormally cold North Atlantic waters. So it is the winds of the upper atmosphere interacts with the deep cyclonic circulation, which are abnormally cold North Atlantic waters. So there is an interacting happening. So this is a keyword. So this is what the researchers have found out in the paper, saying that why there is a sudden steep decline of rainfall in the third week of August, because of the Rossby wave, wherein there is interaction of winds in the upper atmosphere with the deep cyclone circulation above the abnormally cold North Atlantic waters, and this resulting wave of currents are called as Rossby wave. And these waves curve down from the North Atlantic and they squeeze in, that is, they are absorbing in by the Tibetan plateau, and then they hit the subcontinent around mid-August, that is India, which will suppress the rainfall, which will again make sure that it is throwing off the monsoon, resulting in the drought-like situation, that was trying to recover from June slump. So definitely we have seen that the June month, it weakens, it is slumping in the month of June, it is recovering mid-July and mid-August, the rainiest it is recovering, but again in August third week there is a steep decline. And why is this steep decline? Because of the Rossby waves. And here what is happening is these Rossby waves are curved down, or it is coming down from the North Atlantic, and they are squeezing in, that is, they are further getting into the Tibetan plateau, and they will hit the subcontinent, and thereby they are suppressing the rainfall, which was actually supposed to recover from the June slump, that is in mid-July and mid-August. And these Rossby waves, usually the course of the Rossby waves, they go from west to east, but not towards the equator usually. But this is what is happening abnormally. It is getting, or it is coming close to the equator, that is, it is squeezing into the Tibetan plateau. That is why the sudden decline of rainfall which is taking place in India in the third week of August. And that is what the study is saying, that we need to look beyond the Pacific Ocean, as it is important to consider other influences which is causing a drought-like situation in the third week of August in India, or Indian monsoon. So this is again very crucial information in regards to the other culprits which are part of making India drought-like situation in the third week of August, which is not just associated with El Nino, but it is associated with Rossby waves. So this is very crucial information for prelims as well as mains in regards to the geography related topic. So now we will look at another news which we have seen couple of days back. There was a pact between Israel and Morocco. That is, it was the first formal diplomatic ties between Israel and Morocco. But what the newspaper says, that there is an history of secret dealings between Israel and Morocco, and this secret dealing is almost from 6 decades, which are the dealings happening between Israel and Morocco, and which has further strengthened to establish the formal diplomatic ties between Israel and Morocco, which both the countries have announced on December 10, 2020. So now we will look at the history of the secret dealings between Israel and Morocco for the establishing of the formal diplomatic ties between both the countries, and those are the close secret cooperation on intelligence and military matters, wherein this secret dealings both the officials or both the countries' officials do not acknowledge. They are not acknowledging that there were secret dealings. That is the history of secret dealings. But for a better understanding, that is the entire conceptual understanding between Israel and Morocco diplomatic ties, which was announced on December 10, 2020. We will look at the history of Israel and Morocco. So when we look at the history of it, we will look at that Israel has helped Morocco obtain. These are all prior to almost, 6 decades back. What has happened 6 decades back, before 1948 itself, that is before Israel was actually formed as a country itself, Jewish state. So Israel has helped Morocco obtain weapons and intelligence sharing, and it has also helped Morocco how to use the weapons and intelligence gathering, and Israel has also helped to assassinate the opposition leader of Morocco. So this is the history what the newspaper is bringing in, and we are looking at it so that we can understand better the relations between Israel and Morocco. And Morocco has helped Israel to take Moroccan Jews, and it has also mounted an operation against Osama bin Laden, and Morocco has also even helped to spy on other Arab countries. So it is an help wherein Israel has helped Morocco and Morocco has helped Israel. So this is a secret dealing between Israel and Morocco and Israel, to have both of the countries having their mutual benefits. And when we look at the Israel or Morocco-Israel ties, it has been long before the birth of Israel, when it has been in the year 1948. Before that itself, a large number of Jews have been in Morocco. Large number of Jews, that is Holocaust in Europe when it has taken Germany. So the Jews has moved to Morocco and they have migrated there, making Morocco as one of the largest parts of the Israel population. So the relation or the ties between Morocco and Israel is way back before the birth of Israel, that is before 1948 itself, when there was an Holocaust or the Jews were massacred in Europe or Germany, and in turn Jews has moved out of Europe and they have entered into Morocco. Since then the relations are there, and there are around 1 million Israelis from Morocco who have further, again later on after the birth of Israel, they have migrated back to Israel. And Morocco has gained independence in the year 1956 from France. So it is a France colony. Morocco is a France colony. It is in African continent. Morocco, northern African continent is Morocco, and it is a French colony, and Morocco has got independence in the year 1956. And later on, once it got independence or it attained independence, Morocco has banned Jewish immigration. And then later on, in the year 1961, there was a spy agency from Israel, that is Mossad, and Mossad has smuggled many Jews out of Morocco, and this operation was exposed in the year 1961 when the Jews ship, the Mossad ship which was carrying Jews has sank, and it has killed all the Jews who are on board. So definitely the smuggling or migrating the Jews from the Morocco by this Israel spy agency Mossad was exposed in the year 1961 when the Mossad ship has sank, or it has been sank, and then the killing of many of the Jews were killed on board. And the very next month when it was exposed, the operation that is of Israel spy agency, the next month itself there was a new Moroccan king called as Hassan II. And here Hassan II has taken over power in Morocco, and then in turn Israel had made a highly successful effort to cultivate him. That means trying to getting into the mode of having a better relations with Israel. That means Israel definitely had cultivated new Moroccan king after 1961, that is Hassan II, so that they would be having a better relations and they can migrate Jews from Morocco to Israel. And Israel agents have met with the Moroccan opposition leader, that is Mehdi Ben Barka, and they have met the opposition leader of Morocco, that is Mehdi Ben Barka. And this Mehdi Ben Barka, who was the opposition leader, was actually getting into the mode, or he wanted to overthrow the Moroccan king, that is Hassan II. So definitely the opposition leader of Morocco, Mehdi Ben Barka, has taken the help to overthrow the king Hassan II, and Israel has also accepted to help to overthrow the king Hassan II. But instead, Israel told Hassan the plot which the opposition leader Mehdi Ben Barka was trying to overthrow the king Hassan. So here the Israel has played a dual role in trying to make sure that acting as supporting the opposition leader of Morocco, Mehdi Ben Barka, to overthrow the king of Morocco, Hassan II. But instead, the Israelis have told what the Mehdi Ben Barka, that is the opposition leader, was hatching a plot to overthrow the Moroccan king. And the king later on, because the plot has been told to the Moroccan king Hassan II, and then the king has permitted mass immigration of Jews and allowed Mossad to establish a station in Morocco. Look at it, how the Israelis have tried to, or the Israeli agents then have tried to gain the entire confidence of the Moroccan king Hassan II by telling the plot or the hatch how the opposition leader Barka was trying to hatch to overthrow the Hassan king. And in turn, the king has permitted mass immigration of Jews, and he has also allowed to establish a station in Morocco. And in turn, Israel has provided weapons and it has trained Moroccans in using them. And it has also supplied surveillance technology, and it has also helped organized Moroccan intelligence services, and both of them, that is Israel and Morocco, have shared information gathered by their spies. Both Israel and Morocco were trying to get benefited mutually. And there was an intelligence group. Now we will look at the intelligence group. That the intelligence group, the crucial movement has come up in the year 1965, when Arab leaders and military commanders have met in Casablanca, wherein they were trying to have the entire discussion. That is, the leaders, Arab leaders and military commanders have met to discuss the entire scenario. But there, Morocco has allowed the Mossad, that is the spy agent of Israel, to bug the meeting rooms and the private suites of the crucial or the leaders meeting, military and the Arab leaders meeting in Casablanca. So here Morocco has helped Mossad, that is the spy agent of Israel, to get into the to have access to the meeting rooms and the private suites of the Arab leaders and the military commanders who have met in Casablanca. And this is a crucial moment, and this information from the meeting rooms and the private suites has given Israel unprecedented insights into the Arab plans, that how the Arabs were planning. So this is the crucial moment which the Israel has got an unprecedented insight into the Arab plans, and this movement has helped Israel in preparing the 1967 war. Look at it, how Israel is got into the mode of acting or trying to have the entire Arab plans, and then it has got the entire crucial information and it has prepared very strategically the 1967 war, the 6-day war. And shortly after the intelligence coup, which was helped by the Morocco, which the meeting has taken place in Casablanca, Mossad has located Ben Barka and he has helped him to lure to Paris. Look at it, once the intelligence coup, which was supported by Morocco to the Israeli spy agents, and now what the Ben Barka is the opposition leader in Morocco. So for the help, intelligence coup with the Moroccan king has helped the spy agent of Israel. In turn, Mossad, that is the spy agent of Israel, he has brought or he has located Ben Barka and he has lured him to Paris. Please do understand, he has taken him to Paris, and there the Frenchman has abducted Ben Barka, the opposition leader of Morocco, and he was killed, and Mossad agents had disposed the body and which was never found. So here the plot, that is the intelligence coup, has helped the Moroccan king Hassan to get rid of the opposition leader Ben Barka, which the Mossad agents, they have killed him and disposed the body, which was never known. And a decade later, Hassan and his government, that is Moroccan government, became the back channel between Israel and Egypt to resolve the issue or the post 1967 wars, Israel with Arab countries, and there Israel was victorious, successful in 1967 war, and then Morocco became the site of secret meetings between the officials of Israel and Egypt, wherein there was an accord between Israel and Egypt that is called as 1978 Camp David Accords, and then later on the relations have normalized between the former enemies. Who are these former enemies? It is the Israel and Egypt. So this is how Morocco has been an helpful country to Israel almost 6 decades onwards. They have the close and the secret cooperation of intelligence and military matters. That is why on December 10, 2020, they could establish the first formal diplomatic ties. And the now what we have looked at the analysis is the history of all the secret dealings between Israel and Morocco even before the birth of Israel in the year 1948. So this is how you need to look at the analysis, which will be which is certainly useful for international relations of the GS paper 2 mains examination. So now we will recapitulate the entire DNA of the newspaper. We have looked at the Jain committee, which has looked into the, or which will look into the ways and means how the officials have hatched a plot to frame a criminal case against the Nambi Narayan. So we have looked at, again this is from polity perspective, the committee, which committee has looked into the ways and means of the Nambi Narayan. So this is in regards to the economy. We have focused how the industrial input is now positive, but the economists are certainly cautioning the positive trend or positive growth, which is in a row for second month. And delimitation, again from polity perspective, here we have focused many keywords pertaining to delimitation and census, and again the boundaries of the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies, and the boundaries along with the seats of the Lok Sabha and the state assembly. Please do understand, boundaries and the seats, and these are based on the 2001 census and 1971 census. And this is in regards to the geography related topic, which we have discussed, that it is not only the El Nino, but there are various other factors, that is Rossby wave, which could be part of the drought like situation in India in the third week of August. Again this is geography related. And this we have looked at the history of the secret dealing between Israel and Morocco, wherein recently they have come up with the first diplomatic ties on December 10, 2020. But we have looked at the history of the dealings which Morocco and Israel had, and which has established for the formal diplomatic ties on December 10, 2020. And this is in regards to the international relations. So I hope this was a very informative session and also a knowledgeable session, and which would certainly be a crucial information for the mains examination as well as prelims examinations. So I would say a very big thank you to all and a good luck to you all. Do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule, and take care of your physical health and mental health. And then do not forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the AKS IAS Academy English Medium YouTube channel, and do have access and also subscribe the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And I would come up with the daily news analysis again tomorrow. And then I would say a very big thank you and all the best for your preparation. Thank you very much.